Hello everybody, how are you today? I hope you're well. I'm hot. Well, I should just say, first of all, it's a bit different, isn't it, for me filming my thoughts on. Oh, it's the elderberry tree. I thought I can hear some scratching through the shed wall. Yes, well, the thing is, I've come to the garden, still loads of work to do, I'll catch up on that in a minute. But combination of it's really warm again, and it's not just the warmth, but the sun is beating down. There's not a cloud in the sky. There's a beautiful gusty breeze every now and again that's gorgeous, but it's really hot out there. And where are we? I'm filming this a day early. You're going to see this on Sunday, but it's actually Saturday for me today. It's 2 weeks since I got my compost. And literally every day, I don't do Mondays in the garden. Mondays I save for all my other stuff, me volunteering and bits and pieces. But otherwise, literally every day for the last 2 weeks, I've been hammer and tong in the garden. And today my body has said, do you know what, Vivi, for goodness sakes, shut up and sit in the corner. Stop, please stop. Yeah, so I've started to do a bit of work out there, but a combination of the heat, the sun, and my body is just not responding to the demands. I thought, well, I'll come and sit in the shade of the shed. Excuse me, I'm going to be having lots of glogs. Yeah, I thought I'll come and sit in the shade of the shed. Might even have a little snooze now I've got my bed properly sorted. For ages, this sort of bench in the shed was just it's MDF, and the plan was always that it would be a day bed because the shed is 6 feet long. I'm 5'10". That's enough space for me and a pillow. But yeah, I finally sorted out my memory foam mattress. I've been making covers for it, but it's like everything else on hold. But yeah, so I was going to have a little, just a little comfy lie down. Then I suddenly thought, I know, I've got my camera with me today. I wasn't planning on filming, hence my dishevelled apparel. But I thought, perfect opportunity to have my little end of the month catch up with you all. So, crikey, what a month. What a roller coaster of a month for me personally and for the world. So I haven't talked about the COVID thing for ages, but it just feels a bit weird and surreal and like, was it all a dream? Because I think it was a couple of weeks ago our government announced they were lifting some of the restrictions, and they'd had a sort of a slogan since the end of March of stay home, and that was changed to stay alert. What the heck does that mean? It's so flimmy-flammy, isn't it? And it's like the majority of the world, well, in the UK, took that as the green light for, yeah, go back to normal. Just get on with your lives. I'm a bit nervous to get back to normal, whatever normal is. And to be honest with you, normal as was before lockdown, there was a lot of normal I didn't really like. And there was a lot about lockdown that I did like. I mean, I should preface this by saying, obviously, I'm devastated for the families who've lost a loved one and for the fact that they couldn't be with their loved ones in the last days of their lives. That's just heartbreaking. So, of course, it goes without saying that I didn't like that part of lockdown. And obviously for a lot of people, you know, there have been job losses, there have been businesses which are really struggling, and hopefully most will survive. We've all been separated from our families, all of those things. What I mean about the things I liked about when the lockdown was more strict was less traffic, less cars, less pollution, less noise, less air traffic. that sense of, this is also a bit of a slogan, we're all in this together. Well, that's gone belly up this week, hasn't it? I'll come on to that in a second. But yeah, this sense of we're all in it together. This beautiful, wonderful surge of altruism and volunteering out and about. If I did see people were saying morning or afternoon, or, you know, how are you getting on? How are you managing? Total strangers, I mean. You know, the queues outside the post office, there have been days when they've been an hour long. And I've either been reading my book or talking to the person ahead of me in the queue. I've had so many occasions where it's been a mum with a baby in a pram or a toddler in a pushchair ahead of me, and oh my goodness, the urge to cutch the child. So, you know, all those really lovely things I've really enjoyed, and, you know, I've said numerous times to friends, probably, I don't think I've mentioned it in videos, but I hope all those feelings, I hope we keep them when lockdown is over and when we go back to whatever the new normal is. But it already seems that kind of knew it would happen. The sort of the squabbling, the bickering, the you know, trashing people on social media, all of that negative stuff, it's just all creeping back. And, you know, in terms of politics, it's all getting nasty and dirty again. You know, it did feel for a few weeks that everyone was on the same page for the common good, which is what politicians should be doing for us. But no, we're back to the self-serving fat cats just wanting to get fatter. And obviously with all the, let's just say the comings and goings, the arrogance of our government to say, yeah, it's okay for him to do that, but the rest of you, no. So anyway, yeah, oh God, I didn't mean to get negative. I think one of the reasons I'm bringing it up is it's weird in a way. I feel like for the last 2 months I've been in a little bubble of my own. I think I'm in a bubble a lot of the time anyway, you know, with my little circle of really good friends, like-minded friends, all sorts of different types of people, but we have common goals in life and common ethics that we share. So yeah, I think I always live in a bit of a bubble, but during lockdown, the bubble has been even more precious in a way. I've managed perfectly fine, partly because of the garden, because of coming here most days. I see people, I have interactions, obviously from a safe social distance, but I'm having interactions all the time. I'm feeling productive. God knows what would have happened to my head if I had not had an allotment and if I'd literally been stuck in my teeny tiny little studio for the last 10 weeks. Wow, I would have gone doolally, I'm sure. So yeah, things are definitely changing on that front. I'm steering clear of a lot of social media and the news because, like I said, I just feel that all the negativity and the bickering is coming back. And frankly, I don't care about easing restrictions. I care about it from the point of view of, I know there are kids who are desperate to go back to school, especially those who are, you know, going to go into an exam year next year. You know, I do feel for them. And the parents who are having to stay at home because their kids are home. I care about that, of course I do, and I care about businesses being open or being able to become open soon. What I mean is, from a personal point of view, I don't care if the shoe shop's open next week. I don't care even, get this, if the pub's open. I don't care about any of that. The one thing, the only thing I care about, well, there are two things. Hang on a sec. The only two things I care about are ease of movement again. Now at the moment, I feel like I shouldn't use public transport. I should leave public transport entirely for people who have to use it for either work, hospital appointments, that sort of thing. I don't think any of the rest of us should be using public transport at all at the moment. Leave it for people who need to go to work. The less people on the bus, brilliant, the more space people can get. So, in terms of, say, my great aunt, yes, it's her 100th. She's just turned 100. Of course, I'd love to go and visit her, but there are less trains than usual, so each train is going to be more crowded. And like I say, those trains, they're for people who need to get to work, not for people like me who want to go visiting. That can wait. Look, if she became ill, I don't mean COVID ill, but if she became ill, of course I'd go there. I'd go to her. If it was looking dire, I would straight away go to her. But she's not. She's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to wait it out a little while. So obviously ease of movement in terms of visiting my great aunt. I would love to go and visit Richard and Paul. I'm dying to see the garden, because I don't know if any of you, I know a lot of you follow them, but in particular the development of the new part of their plot. We're going to have to stop calling it the new plot, aren't we? But my goodness, what a transformation Paul did in, I mean, it was pretty much over 2 months, sort of January and February this year. And now it's all planted and seeded, and I want to see it. So I guess, again, in theory, I could go and see it. I could go and see them. We're now going to be allowed to meet in groups of 6. So random. But again, I'm going to wait. The one lockdown restriction I am desperate for, beyond desperate for it to be lifted, is hugging. It's as simple as that. You can keep all the other restrictions in place, but please let me have a hug. Please let me hug someone. Any of us who live alone will be feeling this so strongly by now. I mean, I was feeling it within the first 2 weeks, but yeah, for those of us who live alone, who don't live with either a family member, a kid, a partner, we haven't had any human contact for 10 weeks. We're coming up 10 weeks. And actually I started self-isolating at the beginning of March because of thinking ahead for my great aunt. So it's actually 3 months. It's 3 months since another human being has touched me. It's been so hard. So last week, or it might have been the week before, it might have been when I was having my psych meltdown the other week, I started to make a list in one of my notebooks. I was just making a list of everybody I wanted to hug. This list goes on a long, long way. And then I was like, right, well, if the government say you can only hug 10 people, which 10 am I going to choose? That was so hard. I'm not going to tell you who was included in the list. Don't want to offend anyone who might be watching this. It's a close friend. But yeah, I revisited my list a couple of days ago. And I was just kind of fantasising about... I'm sort of wondering who is going to be the first person that I hug. Am I going to go somewhere specifically to get that hug? Or is it going to be one day randomly I'm, at the post office and I bump into one of my plot friends and that's the first person I'll hug? I don't know. But I was looking through this list and starting to get a bit maudlin about it again, thinking, just this desperation to be held. So I might get weepy talking about this now, but it's happy weepy. So I sat with my list and gosh, I must have sat with it for about 3, maybe 4 hours even. It was a sort of late afternoon, evening. I'd been in the garden all day. I'd come home. I was so pained all over. I was on my sofa. I couldn't move. And I knew I had to, you know, just stay put, have my little ice packs on my knees. And all I did was, you know, I went through my list, first person on the list, closed my eyes and really strongly visualised that person, even down to what they were wearing, what setting they were in. Most of my encounters in my imagination were in the garden. And then pictured myself, pictured everything about me, what I was wearing, what the air felt like, all these things, like really, really strongly visualised it with my eyes closed the whole time. And then visualised myself having a hug, hugging that person. Oh, it was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful. It's making me a bit tearful, happy tearful, but yeah, it was great. So I went through my list and basically had a little fantasy hug with everyone. It was gorgeous. It made me cry a bit, but that's okay. It was just a really, really lovely thing to do. And you know, maybe if you're struggling without your hugs, give it a go. When you close your eyes, really, really strongly picture that person and really strongly picture yourself. So in that moment in your imagination, when you bring yourselves together for the hug, you can really, really, really almost feel it. So yes, goodness me. It's an ever-changing world, isn't it? An ever-changing, not a never-changing. An ever-changing world. And we just have to roll with the punches a bit, don't we? So undoubtedly, for me, the main focus of this month has been on the garden. You know, it generally is in May. Generally May, anyway, is a month in which it's all go, go, go with the garden. But this year, more than ever, because of Compost Gate and this extraordinary weather we've had since March, which apparently we're about to break all records again in terms of sunshine hours, lack of rain, etc., etc. And you all know by now, obviously, that I had my meltdown day, did me the world of good, just cleared that negative energy out of my system. With renewed determination, got sorted with the compost, and thank you again so much for all of your help with buying that. And as I mentioned in a couple of videos ago, it gave me a real renewed sense of possibility for the garden this year. So I've I don't know how to put it. I've slaved myself. No, I don't want to make light of slaves. I've pushed myself. I've really, really pushed myself, and I'm glad. I'm so glad I stuck with it. So many times I wanted to go, but I am super stubborn. And now a few of you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I did that video after my little meltdown of saying, why can't my neighbours help, my plot neighbours? So this is something I've been reflecting on in the end of this month, is that thing about asking for help and accepting help. I'm not very good at either. Now, it's daft because, and a friend pointed this out to me a couple of days ago, if I know that someone's struggling, I'll just jump in there and help. I want to help. I always want to help someone who's struggling. Of course I do. Well, not necessarily of course I do. I do. That's what I like to do. And helping someone, it always makes me feel great. You know, it's a totally symbiotic relationship. They get the help they need. I get that warm, fuzzy feeling inside from knowing I've done something good for someone else. So, if someone offers me help, why do I stubbornly refuse it every time? If someone says, hey, do you need a hand with your digging, Vivi? And I say, no, I'm fine, I've got it, thank you for offering. You know, in some ways that's selfish of me, because I'm denying that person the pleasure of helping. Does that make sense? So, there have been a couple of people on my site who do know that I've been struggling, and they've both offered to help, and both times I've said, no, thank you, I think I've got it, I think I have. Partly that's my own stubbornness because I want to do it. Partly it's, I think, something I was reflecting on recently that I sort of don't want to admit to myself yet that I'm no longer as capable as I used to be. Yeah, that's really hard. It's really hard to adjust to the idea that I'm losing some of my ability, losing some of my independence. So I think when I've said to people, no thank you, I don't need your help, I think part of that is me desperately trying to cling to the old me, which is also stupid. But as for other people on my site not offering, well, that's my fault. It's entirely my fault. And this is where I need to learn. And perhaps some of you too, we need to learn together. I know that what I project to other people is that I'm more than capable of getting on with things and managing on my own. Thank you very much. I project a really strong sort of a sense of my own independence. I project the kind of, I think the personality of Vivi is someone you go to for help. You don't go and give her help. So I think it's probably time I need to bring down some of those barriers and make myself a bit more vulnerable from time to time and let people know. I mean, I've let you guys know, but that's because you're not on my site. But maybe that's something I need to think about, is I need to let people know that that I'm not as fierce a warrior as I once was, and that, you know, that I'm struggling a little bit, and let people help, because people love to help. I know that firsthand. People really do love to help. So yeah, it's this kind of, I think I'm really at quite a significant moment in life in many ways, that, you know, I made the big changes 3 years ago in terms of leaving work, leaving my partner, having a go at this sort of self-sufficient or self-reliant life. They were some big changes, and, you know, I think for the most part, I think I took it in my stride. Right now, I think this is an even bigger change for me, and it's not something I'm going to adjust to as quickly. And that is the idea that, like I say, I don't have the body that I once had. I don't have the physical ability that I once had. So annoying, so frustrating. I don't know if I'll ever come to terms with that, because it's so the opposite of how my life has always been. However, I can begin to learn to adapt, and I think I am. These days, I don't try to achieve nearly as much in a day as I would, you know, even a year ago, I would have done 2-3 times as much in a day. And for example, at the moment with the garden, a year ago, I would have done 6-7 hours in the garden, come home, edit a video, you know, spend 3 or 4 hours on the computer doing all that sort of stuff, then do something with regards to, say, the shop, spend 2 or 3 hours cutting fabric, that sort of thing, then go on and do my accounts and basically stay at it until midnight. Not anymore. The 6 or 7 hours in the garden, that's me done for the day. So I am beginning to adjust, and I'm trying to be a good girl and look after what's left of me bones. Goodness me. Yeah, so I've given myself lots to think about this month, and I don't have any of the answers now. I don't know if I'll ever have any of the answers, but definitely my bag is I'm rubbish at asking for help. I'm rubbish at accepting help. And I need to change my mindset on those a bit. And that's not to say, you know, the other extreme is to become, you know, some little helpless victim of circumstances where, you know, you let every circumstance be another blow. And put it this way, for example, when I love helping people, say it's another plot holder, I want to help people who are prepared to help themselves too. In other words, if someone's just bone idle and lazy, and I've experienced this in the past on this site where I've given someone loads and loads of help, and then after a while you realise actually they're just sitting there on their backside doing nothing when they're perfectly capable of doing something, just a little something. So yeah, one doesn't want to go to the other extreme of just wanting and expecting help from everybody all the time without doing anything for oneself still. There's another little balance, isn't there? That's not going to be me, I can tell you. So, goodness me, yeah. Oh. It's much cooler in the shed than outside because the shed's in shade by this time of day. I've got my little side window open, I'm getting a little breeze from it, and I can tell you right now, it's making me feel really snoozy. The me a year ago would have said, snooze, you haven't done half your work, get back outside and do your work before you have your snooze. The new me, I think I might have my snooze first. Oh, and I meant to bring a book with me today to keep in the shed. I've got a book, it's the Penelope Lively book. I think I mentioned it in the new year. Didn't get around to reading it. The problem with me and reading is I'll set up a stack of the next 4 books to read, but then I'll get given a book and I think, oh, I like the look of this. I'll read that and then it takes me in a completely different direction. Anyway, yes, the Penelope Lively is, I think it's called A Life in Gardening or something. And they're not short stories as such, but they're in chapters, sort of themed chapters, which I think in and of themselves, they're sort of complete. And I thought, what a great book to have in the shed. So for days like today, when I've done a bit of work, and then I think, oh, I could just do with a chill. I'd just come in here, read a while, snooze a while, and then later on go and do all my watering. Oh, watering. My goodness, there's so much watering going on at the moment. I'm just looking at, I think, yeah, George the little feral is just hanging out outside the window down there. All right, my lovelies. Well, look, it was just a quick little catch-up thoughts on today. Just grab this opportunity while I'm having 5. It's a curious world, isn't it? I don't think any of us have got the answers at the moment. How to conduct ourselves. For me, my way of coping and dealing with everything at the moment is to just think of that bubble. To immerse myself in it, to embrace, not literally, my friends who are in that bubble. Enjoy the garden, enjoy those friends. Keep away from all the madness that's starting up on social media again. My friends and my garden keep me sane, thank goodness. Thank goodness for both. So yeah, whatever's going on out there, however you're all dealing with it, I hope you are all dealing with it okay. I'm just going to focus on this little teeny tiny world I've created for myself. I can hear splintering wood. I don't know what's going on. It's not my shed, it's next door. I'm curious. Well, on that note, I think I'm going to love you and leave you all because I want to go and have a nosy at what's going on. So, deep breath at the end of the month. Gird myself for another busy month in the garden. It's all the good stuff though, it's the planting. I'm so excited. On that note, I will see you next time. back in the garden. So until then, please take care of yourselves. Remember to keep taking care of each other as well. Reach out to folk. You know, some of the world thinks lockdown is completely over and they're going bonkers, but there are still a lot of people who are vulnerable, they're on their own, they're needing a bit of extra support. So if you know someone like that, just give them a phone call, write them a postcard, just do something small to let them know that they aren't on their own, that you are thinking of them, and then at some point we'll all get those gorgeous hugs again. Oh, I can't wait. Fantasy hugs will have to suffice. Bye for now, everyone.